All right, folks. How you doing today? I'm London Breed. I'm the mayor for San Francisco. And I am really excited to be here because we got something actually accomplished in the city and county of San Francisco by working together. I want to take this opportunity to recognize members of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors who are joining us today, including the President of the Board of Supervisors, Norman Yee, Supervisors Valley Brown, Asha Safai, and Gordon Marr, and Matt Haney. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Now, I know that it took us a little while to get here. And one of the things that I am so excited about is the fact that we are here. We are here because the building and construction trades, some members of the Board of Supervisors, some of our department heads like Phil Ginsburg and Mohammed Nuru, they all came to the table, and many of our LBEs, wanting to make sure that we came up with an agreement that was fair, that supported good wages, that provided opportunities for people in San Francisco, some of them who have never maybe worked a job a day in their life, providing real opportunities for them to be part of the building and construction trades, making sure that our LBEs, who, especially those who are struggling to do business in the city and county of San Francisco, have a real shot at growth. And this agreement was just really what I think is a fair and balanced agreement that is going to help lead our city into the future. We know that trying to negotiate a project labor agreement started many, many years ago under the leadership of Larry Missoula Jr. And it's only fitting that we actually deliver it with your offspring, Larry Missoula Jr. It started with the leadership under the Labor Council with Tim Paulson, carrying on that tradition with Rudy Gonzalez, who is now head of the Labor Council here in San Francisco. So many amazing people. It really did take a village to get to this place, and I'm really honored to be with all of you here today to sign this important legislation that is really about building strong communities, creating jobs that provide opportunities for growth, and making sure that no one is left behind. So this is the beginning. We know that there is still work to do. I also want to recognize Josh Arce, who's our workforce director. And thank you all so much, again, for just all of your hard work, for coming to the table and doing what's necessary to arrive at what I think is a fair and balanced agreement. And Miguel, thank you for being here today. Miguel with the LBEs, the person who led the negotiations and made sure that he expressed some of the challenges with a number of the women and minority contractors so that this was a fair and balanced agreement. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. We know that it was a tough road. John and Vince and others and Tony, you know, there was some yelling, there was some cursing, there was some really crazy conversations. But here's the thing. That's how you negotiate. That's how you get something done. You got to be willing to have the hard conversations. But what I appreciate about everyone who participated in this agreement is that everyone was willing to stay and sit at the table and work through the differences that we have to come up with a compromise where no one is actually happy about everything, which means we did something right. So today, I'm really proud and excited to sign this agreement. I also want to recognize my Deputy Chief of Staff who helped to lead the negotiations, Andrea Bruss. Thank you so much. I don't know how many complaints I got about Andrea, but in the end, she she was great for leading these negotiations on behalf of our office, and we couldn't have done this without some dedicated members of the Board of Supervisors, which included a team, a tag team of Supervisor Asha Safai and Supervisor Aaron Peskin. They really led the negotiations, and Supervisor Sandy Fewer came in with, just some extra oomph to the conversation, which really created, again, a fair and balanced agreement, one that we all can agree is best for the future of the city and county of San Francisco. And with that, I'd like to introduce Supervisor Safai to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can tell you probably this time last year, I would not have been able to predict that we would be standing here ready to sign this agreement. And that's just the truth. I think if you ask anyone that was involved in it, there were a lot of fits and starts. But one of the things that changed was the election in June of this mayor. And this mayor, and yes. When London Breed was the president of the Board of Supervisors, we had engaged on this topic. We had reached out, started talking with Larry and John and everyone involved, and Miguel and Juliana, and we said, this is going to happen. This is going to happen because it's the right thing to do. And many people said, well, why do we need a citywide PLA? What's the reason for a citywide PLA? We have so many good advancements. We have local hire. We have our LBE contracting. Why do we need this? But when you think about it's not about what's happening today. It's about what can happen in the worst times. It can happen when we have a recession, when people aren't thinking about what can happen in the future and when things turn around. Because at the end of the day, this is about protecting workers. It's about protecting the advancements we've made in city build and local hiring. It's about protecting the advancements we've made in our LBE community, protecting our women and minority-owned contractors. It's about expanding the opportunities for everyone and ensuring that we lead not only for California, but for the rest of the nation. This is a historic framework. I know that Larry and the city administrator and all their team and the LBE community are going to come together, and they're going to negotiate in the next year a wonderful agreement that's going to advance us. But I have to say, when Mayor Breed was elected, it was a game changer. And within 6 months of her being in office, so many things have happened for organized labor that have been talked about for decades that had never happened. We negotiated a citywide MCO agreement. That is a commitment on the magnitude of millions of dollars. We have negotiated the framework now for a citywide PLA. Larry Sr. told me on the way in, he's been talking about that for 20 years. This mayor and her leadership and the leadership of the Board of Supervisors, we got this done within the first 6 months of her being in office. So yes, there were a lot of people that were under the radar. I want to give a big shout out to Masood from the PUC. The PUC also helped in these negotiations. The city administrator, Naomi Kelly, and her team. Andrea was phenomenal. We had negotiations. I was sitting in my robe in front of the fireplace at 1 o'clock in the morning on the phone with these folks on the last bits of these negotiations. I don't know how everyone else was dressed, but I'm sure on the other end of the line, they were sitting there thinking, how in the world are we up at 1 in the morning trying to get this thing done? But in the end, we got there, and it was a unanimous vote by the Board of Supervisors. A unanimous vote, Larry. And we did it for every single one of these workers that's sitting here, the ones that will follow them, and we set the framework for the city and county of San Francisco. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to introduce Miguel Galarza to come up and say a few words. This guy right here is a real tough negotiator, but really a great businessman in the city and county of San Francisco, one who represented minority contractors and women contractors in the city, and he did a phenomenal job. Miguel?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the Building K council members. Despite our disagreements at the beginning, we came together and put together a policy and a program that's going to make a difference for many of our city workers in cities that are not yet in the Building Trades Council or are in open shop businesses that sooner or later will be part of the brotherhood that is the union workforce. And so thank you all for making it happen. I also want to thank the mayor for her leadership. There's no doubt that she may say I'm a tough negotiator, but she held the line and she made sure that we stayed there for hours and hours and hours. And she calmed everybody down when tensions were high. And at the end of the day, they wouldn't be high unless we all had passion. And there's passion on the building trades for a right reason. They've made a difference in people's lives for a long time. And there's passion for those of us that own businesses. I'm a kid from the Mission District. I started out as a carpenter back in the 70s. And now today I have over 70 employees. So all of you here that are employees now, that are in the building trades, shoot for the stars, because ultimately you will be the next generation of union employers and employees that continue the legacy that has made San Francisco what it is today, the shining star of the nation. And with that, thank you again for making it happen, Mayor, supervisors, and enjoy your day.
And there were tough negotiators all around, including the representatives of the building and construction trades. I have never seen John get so red in the face on numerous occasions. As someone who has a lot of passion, along with Tony and Danny and Vince and Tim, they were all at the table, just really with an understanding of the challenges that the workers that they represent face, but also so many San Franciscans in our LBE community face as well. And I really appreciate the fact that you all were so actively engaged in helping us get to this point. Thank you for your passion and your commitment to workers in San Francisco. And here, the person who led the effort, who basically just was phenomenal in his work, and clearly Larry Sr. has taught you well in terms of being a fierce, tough negotiator and representing workers in the city and county of San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Missoula Jr.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So I'm not sure how many of you know this, but this started 2.5 years ago, this whole process, and it started with a phone call. Phil Ginsburg and Mohammed Nuru called me 2.5 years ago, and they said, Larry, we want and need a citywide project labor agreement. Can you do this for us? Can you get this done? And I said, I don't know, guys. That'll be a tough task, but I'll try. And here we are. Like Asha says, PLAs are great for workers. They're going to be great for the workers of this city, union and non-union alike. A lot of people don't understand what PLAs do or what they are. And I wrote down a few things that PLAs do and that they provide for the workers in the communities. And this is just some of the things. They provide uniform wages, benefits, hours, and working conditions. They bar unions from striking. So it's like a peace agreement. They provide contractors with a reliable and uninterrupted supply of qualified workers at predictable costs. They ensure that projects are completed on time and on budget. They create career paths for women, minorities, and veterans. And the biggest thing is that they protect the workers. Like I said, union and non-union workers alike in San Francisco will benefit from a project labor agreement of this size and this statute. Like has been said before, this happened over a number of years, but it happened, the way it got over the finish line happened because of one person. And that one person is Mayor London Breed. And she took the bull by the horns and she said, right when she got in office, Larry, we're going to get this thing over the finish line. I know you've been working with a lot of different people on this, and it's an important issue to you, it's an important issue to me, it's an important issue to the city. And she sat in a meeting when she grabbed us at City Hall one day. We were supposed to have a 2-hour meeting, turned into a 10-hour meeting, and she canceled appointments and other issues and other things that she had to be at. She said, we're going to knock this out tonight. And she did, and she brokered a deal. And there's no one that I want to thank more than Mayor London Breed for getting this done. I also want to thank Aaron Peskin, who's not here, and Asha Safai. Did I get that right? Asha had a lot to do with this and sat down with us hour after hour, days, weeks, and he's right. We had conference calls deep into the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I really don't want to think about what you were wearing when I was on the phone with you. So please don't bring that up again. But I do want to thank you very much for all the effort you put in, and thank you for letting me have a drink in your office after. You know, San Francisco, the progressive city that it is first on everything, on a lot of things, on most things. We're a model for the country. And I've been saying this since day one. San Francisco should have done a project labor agreement citywide a long time ago. There's other entities in the state that have project labor agreements: Contra Costa, Alameda, Concord, Long Beach, Los Angeles, Santa Clara, just to name a few. And I think this mayor and our supervisors understand the importance of a project labor agreement and the fact that this is a city that built itself on those types of values to protect our workers and protect the citizens of San Francisco. So I'm glad that we finally got to this point. There's a lot of work still to do. As the mayor mentioned, we have 9 months or a little bit longer to negotiate and hammer out the rest of this. And I know the mayor is going to press on her staff to get that done by the deadline that we have, right? And we're going to get this thing done, and then it's going to become law hopefully later this year. And it's going to be a lot of help for a lot of people, disadvantaged people. We have a great relationship with City Build, and we're going to bring a lot of those people that may not have had a chance to get into the trades, and that's an important piece of this. And it's important to the building trades as well as to the city, obviously. So apprenticeship opportunities have always been the backbone of the unions, and we've always had an open door policy for our apprenticeship programs, and we want to extend that and continue to do that and see our young youth have another option besides going to college if that's not their choice. So I think this is going to be a great agreement that's going to benefit a lot of people, and I just can't stress enough how much I can thank Mayor Breed for the leadership she's shown, for her negotiation skills, and for everything she's done for labor and building trades as a whole, especially. She's a born and raised San Franciscan like I am. She cares about this city. She cares about building trades. She cares about city workers. And I really appreciate everything you've done for us in your short time in office, Mayor Breed. Thank you very much.
This is how all negotiations are going to go in the city. Fingers crossed. All right, let's get this legislation signed. Miguel, come on up. Larry and a couple others. All right, we ready? And then what's the date today?
1/18.
All right, here you go.
Thank you.